Okay, my next talk is a continuation of my last talk. Last talk I talked about how we're in a spiritual war, and we have to get wise to the fact we're in a spiritual war. What is the spiritual war? The spiritual war is about low vibration, which is all about anger, hatred. It's about being a miser. Do you know what a miser is? If you remember the Christmas movie A Christmas Carol, it's Scrooge. He's a person who has a lot. He's got everything. And he's too cheap to pay his employees enough money so that the employee's son can go to the doctor, so that they have enough money to live in a nice house and to have good food. A miser is that. Someone who has so much but refuses to share. So on planet Earth, that's what we're looking at. It is a spiritual war between misers and everyone who shares what they have. Now, I would say that everyone on planet Earth has a little bit of miser in them. And everyone on Earth has a little bit of the one who shares. Because that's the way humans are. We're a mixture of different attributes. So the spiritual warfare is not going out into the streets and finding, a miser and, playing Robin Hood and, I'm going to steal all your money, Mr. Scrooge, because I'm Robin Hood and I'm going to give your stuff to the poor. No. The spiritual war is within you and within me. Because at every moment we have to choose. Am I going to listen to the miser, or am I going to listen to the kindergarten teacher who taught me how to share with my schoolmates? That's where the war is. Immediately when I say this, I have thoughts come into my head about I got to keep enough for myself. I got to keep enough for myself. And what's it attached to? It immediately comes to my retirement fund. I got to have enough money tucked away from my old age. First thing that comes up for me in the spiritual warfare is putting something away for a rainy day. The second thing I got coming to me is there's so many starving people in Africa. I could give all my money away and sell my house and my car and give them all the money, and I wouldn't make a dent in the number of people that are poor in Africa. There's just me versus the whole world of poverty. And that voice says, so keep everything you got, don't give anything away. Why do I have these thoughts come up immediately? Because they are what comes. It's not why they come or where they come from, it's just they come. What am I supposed to do with these thoughts? I am hitting a brick wall, and it's the rational mind. The rational mind, rational, if you remember to about grade 2, second grade, rational is related to fractions. Remember doing fractions? 1/2 for me, 1/2 for you. Rational mind is always making fractions. It says we have one pie, and I can cut it into 8 pieces, 6 pieces, 4 pieces. But the more times I cut this pie, the smaller the pieces are going to be. And the rational mind says, okay, we got a planet. It's a globe. It's like an apple. And an apple, I can cut it in half, quarters, sixths. It's always cutting things. I got one planet Earth. It's an apple floating around in space. And I got to divide it between 7 billion human people and all of the animals. And there's only about, I don't know, is it maybe 1/3 or 1/4 of the whole planet is land and the rest is water. So humans can't use 3/4 of the planet because it's water. You can't live on water. So that's basically what the rational mind keeps coming up with. There's only a limited amount. And we got to cut it up amongst all of us. So I'm going to cheat and I'm going to get a bigger piece for me. Because I just don't think that if I divide up this big apple floating around the sun in an orbit, if I divide it up into 7 billion pieces, it's not enough of a big piece for me. So I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to get a bigger piece. How much bigger? As much as I can get. I'm going to make my mission getting as much of this apple called planet Earth for me. And everyone else, well, if I cheat really good, they'll never know. And even if they figure it out, if I get a big enough piece, I'm going to figure out how to make a big army and protect what's mine. I'm going to have an army, a police force. I'm going to have a nuclear bomb. And then I'm going to have all kinds of spyware. Spy on all these other people who are trying to get my stuff. This is what the rational mind does. It's paranoid. But is the rational mind right? Well, in 2nd grade it's right. You learn how to do fractions and it's right. But is it the real truth? No. Rational mind doing fractions is based in Newtonian physics. What's Newtonian physics? It's what they believed in the 1700s. And it's incorrect. We live in a quantum field, not a Newtonian billiard ball universe. And in the quantum field, we create in the field, and what we create is based upon how we act. In other words, what you put out is what you get back. So if you put out an energy of, I am a miser, I'm greedy, I'm controlling of others, that's the reality that gets created. And if all those other people buy into the idea that we're in a Newtonian world, and they see some people taking everything for themselves and planning to oppress us, if people buy into that story, then they're helping to create that story. Because the quantum field doesn't care what you put out. It just mirrors back to you what you're putting out. So if you're going to continue with these stories that this is the truth, the 1% owns everything and the rest of us are the slaves, and we're going into FEMA camps, and the Georgia Stones say they want to kill us all off, you are feeding into that story. And the quantum field doesn't care. It's just going to help give that story more and more to you. You're putting energy into that story. And it's based upon Newtonian physics from the 1700s. It has nothing to do with the quantum field. Knowing that we're in a quantum field and what we put out comes back to us, you have to know that that story is the wrong story, and I'm not going to buy into it. Which means, what's my real story? We live in an abundant field. It's so abundant. So what do? I'm putting out abundance, which means I'm gifting my stuff to other people. How does that appear to me? Well, you've heard the story about people in the checkout line at Walmart, and somebody buys you your groceries. They just say, I'm going to pick up the tab for your groceries today, ma'am. And they say to you, all I want you to do is pay it forward. In other words, sometime you're at the coffee shop, buy someone a coffee. Buy somebody you don't know a coffee and a donut. Pay it forward. Now, because maybe the guy who bought your groceries had $250 in his wallet and he could do it. And maybe you've only got $10 in your purse. So it doesn't matter, how much money you're putting out. It's, I got this much and I'm going to share. I'm going to be generous. What else does it mean? It also means I'm going to be magnanimous. What does magnanimous mean? Magnanimous means somebody was really cheap and Scrooge-like and miserly to me yesterday. I'm not going to be miserly cheap to that person. I'm going to forgive them. And I'm not going to be cheap back to them. I'm going to let it go. Mostly the best reason why to let other people off the hook is because you've been a miser too. Because we've all been trapped by this idea that we're carving up a little apple and sharing it amongst ourselves, and that's all there is. So we've made mistakes because we have been ignorant. And people who have screwed you did it out of ignorance. So be magnanimous. Let them off the hook. They made a mistake based upon they just didn't know any better. So all of the 1%ers that own everything, we got to let them off the hook. Instead of going and saying, we're going to arrest them and throw them into Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and prisons there, we got to say, they're just doing it because they're ignorant. They don't understand the quantum field. So I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to put out hate. I'm going to understand them. They were just misled because we didn't have good information taught to all of us. And we got to spread the news about the quantum field. We just put out abundance, and abundance comes back to all of us. We all got to do it. Wake up. That's the way we fix this problem.